i360 is a data and technology company that primarily services right of center candidates and organizations. Our core assets are database, which we sit on top of, which includes every American over the age of 18. And it's a variety of different sources. We go out and collect voter files in every state plus DC. We have tons of consumer data layered on top of that. And then as well as hard ID, survey research, and then a lot of predictive modeling that goes on top of that. So together, those different sources, it's about 270 million Americans within our database that we can use, that our clients can use within the grassroots sphere. That means we have a bunch of different applications that sit on top of our database, whether that's canvassing, doors, text messages, but also in the digital space where we use that data for digital targeting across social, programmatic, pretty much anywhere you're targeting online, our data can be used for your campaigns.
Now, an issue that seems to be coming up recently is this patchwork of political transparency laws. And a lot of campaigns may not be aware of them and whether they're actually complying with the law. What can you tell us about what they can do to ensure that they don't violate any kind of campaign laws?
Yeah, and as being a data provider, we take this very seriously. We spend a lot of resources having a robust legal house compliance team that stays up to date on all the different laws that are out there. As well as external counsel, because some of these things are very niche that most, a lot of legal folks won't have as much knowledge on. I think what makes us a little bit unique compared to others in the space is how much we emphasize on compliance. When CCPA was rolled out many years ago, it wasn't that many years ago at this point, but we were ahead of that, allowing folks to opt out in the state of California, where we saw there were many other companies that weren't doing that. And then after that, we're, in addition to legal compliance, we also take data security very seriously, which is another thing that is becoming bigger within the industry. We're SOC 2 certified, which for many years now, which helps us to prevent data loss, as well as cyber attacks, which given today where we are in the news cycle, can become a big deal.
Okay. And for viewers who may not be aware of what CCPA is, it's the California Privacy or Consumer Privacy Act, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's interesting that it affects political campaigns, because I've generally seen it talked about in the context of, businesses.
Yeah. And that's where it becomes interesting too within that space, because there's a lot that within, as far as compliance, that sometimes it doesn't apply to the commercial or political side, but it'll apply to the commercial and vice versa. So as more states roll out, that's something that our legal team is constantly tracking.
Okay. Now, another key concern that political campaigns have is in trying to reach different voter groups across a very fragmented media landscape. They do have concerns about whether connected TV and over-the-top platforms are cost prohibitive. Is there anything you can say to debunk that notion?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. And, I think when you're talking about linear, there's always been a lot of waste. So within your budget, there's just a lot of dollars that actually probably don't go to eyeballs that are within your target universe. Being very first-party data centric at i360, we're big believers in being able to have that one-to-one relationship with your target audience. So the idea of being able to target an individual list or segment and know that they're having a TV-like experience on, CTV or OTT, I think there's a ton of value there. And honestly, it just really depends. If you're getting ahead of your political cycle, the CPMs with CTV are not that high compared to other platforms, as you're seeing on social where costs are rising. So I think there's a lot of value as far as putting ad dollars to connected TV and allowing your ads to get to the people you want to see them to see.
Well, I think this year's midterms are interesting for a few reasons. Not only have we seen this massive shift in viewer habits with people during the pandemic when they're stuck indoors or you couldn't watch live sports, they signed up for different kinds of streaming services, and a lot of those behaviors have been maintained. So how do political media teams think about their messaging, reaching people who they used to be able to reach on linear, but now may be a bit more difficult to connect with?
Yeah, I mean, you got to really be able to, I mean, again, being first party centric, we are able to take your target lists and onboard them and distribute them to any of your partners or your data buying platforms to ensure you're targeting the right people. And so knowing that people are, cutting cords and whatnot, you're able to ensure that your ad dollars are going to the folks that are doing that. And you actually are able to see that. You have the reporting behind it to know that your ads are reaching your audience, which linear never showed. It's a little bit of a black box to a certain extent. And so the ability to shift those dollars and to know and have the confidence that they're penetrating your audience is really important. And I think the shift continues and more inventory opens up, there's just going to be a lot more advantages compared to the linear space moving forward.
And then in terms of how you're able to access ad inventory, is it a matter of working with a lot of different suppliers, or do you try to narrow it down to, I don't know, several either demand side platforms or private marketplaces?
Yeah, I think if you're operating in, one or two DSPs, it can be pretty simple. I mean, you want to control, and I think you hear this out there, trying to control your frequency within your ads. The more partners you're working with, the less able you are to control that frequency. And there's DSPs out there like Xandr are able to curate a lot of private inventory for you that's high quality, and you're able to target across different audiences. So it's, as far as the ability to work with a ton of partners versus one partner, I'm more in that mindset to only work with few as possible, just because you have that ability, and it's less work for those advertisers that are busy during the election cycle and don't have time to be reaching out to every different type of inventory that's out there. There's easy ways, and people like Xandr are making it easier for us as buyers to be doing that.
Well, let's see. Now, this midterm cycle is interesting. It looks like, the control of the House, maybe even the Senate is in play, and there's just a lot of other things going on in the media environment. What else can you tell us about what's happening?
Yeah, and it's going to be a big year for both sides of the aisle, and it's going to be a really big battle to control, like you said, the House and Senate. I think what's interesting is that every 10 years redistricting also comes along, and why it's so important being able to target your electorate, because it's new. And so at i360, what we do is we are very aggressive at collecting the new lines within all the congressional districts, state house districts, to ensure that our customers are able to target offline and online their new electorate, because it can change quite a bit, whether in states or you're completely in new lines and you have new people that have joined your district, or you've lost a lot of folks within your district. So I think that translates, it's really important for some of those congressional races into the online space to be able to get out there ahead of time in order to introduce yourself to the new electorate that might not be as familiar with you as from past cycles. So obviously there's all the things that we're talking about, cord cutters and whatnot, but as far as how to reach them and who's important to reach them, I think redistricting is a pretty big deal this cycle.